Hey YouTube. Okay, what we're going to do here is take a look at three different methods for auto-tuning. Well, what is auto-tuning? Well, let's see. It's probably first made famous by the singer Cher in the song Do You Believe in Life After Love? Here you can clearly hear how the auto-tune is applied to her voice. It sounds sort of robotic. So what it's doing is taking the notes that it hears and adjusting it to another note, to a key, to in key, out of key. So when that first came out, people were really like, whoa, sounds robotic. We've never heard that before. So very interesting. And it's also been made very popular lately with creative people taking news interviews and auto-tuning those and applying a melody to it, or their own song or melody. And they've become wildly popular viral videos like, everyone remembers this one. Or how about this one? He's climbing your window, he's making your people walk, trying to break them so how'd you wife. So that's what we're talking about here, how to auto-tune. The equipment that I'm using in this tutorial is obviously Cubase Pro. I'm also using Steinberg UR44 audio interface, and this is just an awesome little unit here. If you don't know, then you should be told that you can't do audio recording in any sort of professional level with just the sound card you have on your computer. You need something like this. An external sound card is what it really is, and it interfaces between your instruments, your microphones, etc., and your computer. And I use these Rode M5 compact half-inch condenser microphone, small diaphragm, matched pairs. These are just phenomenal. I can't even believe I'm also using these on-stage MY700 stereo microphone board. It's under 20 bucks. Also, I run my recordings through this ART TPS2 tube preamp. So this thing's got a tube in the middle, and a lot of these things, they say they've got a tube or they show you a tube and they don't actually run it. This actually runs through the tube and it gets this really nice warm sound. It's got the dual inputs, so for stereo microphones or guitars or whatever you got. And also the piano keyboard I'm using is this Roland A49BK MIDI. It's just a USB. You just plug it into your computer and you just go. I've got all of my equipment links down in the bottom there, so you can follow those if you're interested. And let's take a look at how to do this auto-tuning. So let's get started. Method number one, we're going to be using Steinberg's pitch correct. So let's create an audio track. Doesn't matter what kind of audio track, just try to keep it simple and clean. I've got maybe a bit of reverb on here. And what we're going to do is, in the inserts, we're going to go down to pitch shift and pitch correct. There it is. There's the plugin. And what we're going to do is change the speed to 100% and the tolerance to 0. So that's going to say that it will, right away, the speed is 100%. It's going to immediately correct what it hears. And the tolerance is 0. It's not going to have any tolerance. It won't allow the pitch to go either side of the note at all. It will stay right on the note. So let's just say we're going to imagine we're applying this to some news interview, and someone was providing an interview to a newscaster. So I'll just give some quick nonsensical sort of, yeah, I was walking down the street and suddenly out of the sky came a big ball of flame. It was a meteorite and it crashed in the field in front of me and there was a huge ball of fire. So here we have that audio. Let's give it a quick listen. Yeah, I was walking down the street and suddenly out of the sky came a big ball of flame. It was a meteorite and it crashed. So there we have our audio, and now let's see. We'll select a major scale and we'll just go with male since I'm a man. And so it's selected to internal, meaning it's going to apply the tuning to internally to this audio file that it is connected to. So we'll switch it on, and here we go. Yeah, I was walking down the street, and suddenly out of the sky came a big ball of flame. It was a meteorite, and it crashed in the field in front of me. And so that's going to get old pretty fast, but what you can see is what's happening as we're talking here. You see that the color is blue and orange, and so the blue is where it's adjusting it to the note, and the red is how much outside it was of the note. So on a major scale you don't hear that too much, but if we change the scale to, let's say, custom, and then we only add notes that we want to hear, and we push play here. Big ball of flame, it was a meteorite, and it crashed. You see how much it's shifting. It was a huge ball of fire. Yeah, I was walking down the street, and suddenly out of the sky came crashed in the field in front of me, and there was a huge. So you can see we have preservation on. So what it's doing is it's listening. It's going to preserve the voice that's actually there. But if you turn preservation off, flame, it was a meteorite, and it crashed in the field in front of me, and there was a huge ball of fire. Yeah, I was walking down the street, and suddenly out of the sky came. So you can see that it's completely altering the voice. It's not leaving the human side of it. It sounds very robotic that way. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get a little more control over it. We're going to add a MIDI track. Just add any MIDI track. It doesn't matter what you select for the MIDI track, because all the MIDI track is going to be doing is putting in the notes that then control how this is tuned, or what notes this is tuned to. So you add the track, and then let's see, let's give this a good name so we know what it is. Let's go and here on the MIDI track, select your MIDI track, and then under the assignment here, assign it to the AutoTune track that we just named there, and then you see how the pitch correct is applied to that track. That's what we want to control, is this pitch correct. We want to control this with our keyboard, and I'm just using my little USB MIDI keyboard, and I'm going to play the notes on that, and then that will then control the notes that this is tuned to. Okay, so now what I'll do is I selected the external MIDI note, and now I'll play on my keyboard the notes that I want to hear applied to this audio. Yeah, I was walking down the street, and suddenly out of the sky came a big ball of flame. It was a meteorite, and it crashed in the field in front of me, and there was a huge ball of fire. So there you go. You can hear it's pretty drastic. So now what we can do is record that. So we'll set it back to the beginning. We'll make sure the MIDI track is armed, and we'll just hit record. Yeah, I was walking down the street, and suddenly out of the sky came a big ball of flame. It was a meteorite, and it crashed in the field in front of me, and there was a huge ball of fire. So there we go. So there now we have it recorded, and it will always apply the notes that you have recorded to the pitch correct, which will then correct the audio file. Yeah, I was walking down the street, and suddenly out of the sky came a big ball of flame. It was a meteorite. So you can see how you can get pretty creative with that, and you know, you could get musical now. You can slice up things and apply it to the video, to the person being interviewed, and you could get pretty creative. A great thing about Cubase is now that you have these notes, you can open up the editor. And of course now you can just drag these notes around and change them, or you could replay it, or whatever you feel comfortable with. We'll just examine that a bit. I was walking down the street, and suddenly out of the sky came a big ball of flame. It was a meteorite, and it crashed in the field in front of me. Came a big yeah, I was walking down the street, and suddenly out of the sky came a big yeah, I was walking down the street, and suddenly out of the sky came yeah, I was walking down the street, and suddenly out of the sky came. So now you get the idea. This could be, you know, infinite. You could do whatever you could imagine with this. So that's method number one. Now let's take a look at method number two. We'll use the same audio track here. I'm just going to delete this MIDI track. And what we're going to do is add a chord track. And let's see, let's assign some notes to that chord track. So let's put one here, and we'll put one there, and we're just going to exemplify this really quickly. This is the more limited way to go, but if you felt comfortable doing this and your melody was pretty simple, you could still do it this way without any problem. So just make some simple notes here, F and D. So now, because there's a chord track, this pitch correct, we'll set it to chord track. And chord track scale just the chords, so it will go along with whatever notes you place here. So for this method, in order to use the chord track and have it applied to this audio file, you also need to create a MIDI track, and again, it doesn't matter what kind of MIDI track, and again, assign it to the track that has the correct, which is this AutoTune This track here, right? So now, as you play this, it's going to take a look at the chords you placed here. It's going to apply those chords to the pitch correct plugin, and the pitch correct will then apply that to the audio file.
Yeah, I was walking down the street and suddenly out of the sky came a big ball of flame. It was a meteorite. And it
so there you have it. So you can adjust these, to whatever you want. You can have as many of them as you want, and you can, write a melody and or chords that then go along with that melody and apply the whole thing. So get as creative as you want. It's just another method to achieve this. So there you have it. There's method number two. So both of those could be used, I believe, if I'm correct, that is Cubase 5 and up, all the way up to the current Cubase 9 or whatever there is. Now, I don't know what there is if you're watching this in the year like 2027, but that's probably not relevant. Okay, so anyway, or maybe it is if you're there in 2027. Hello, are you there? Okay. Okay, so the third method, so you're going to need Cubase, I believe, 8 Pro at least for this next method. So if you don't have that, you don't care, you can carry on with your life. So I've removed the other tracks in here. We'll even get rid of the pitch correct. And what we're going to add here is, we're not going to add anything, we're going to double click the audio track, which is then going to open up your sample editor, and there's our wave file. And then you should have Vary Audio. So what you do then is simply just click the pitch and warp, and what it will do is pretty much like make its own MIDI type notes and assign them what it thinks it's hearing. So it hasn't changed anything yet, so if you just listen to it.
It was a meteorite, and yeah, I was walking down the street and suddenly out of the sky.
So as we listen to that, getting very redundant audio, what we're going to do is make the applications here for the plugin, the Vary Audio plugin, and you'll hear what's happening. So you can see our wave file has, well, waves, right? Up and down it's going. And what this is going to do is not only move the notes, but it will also straighten the pitch. So in that Cher song where you hear that real sharp pitch from a human sounding voice to a robotic sounding voice, it changes very quickly. It's where it's being really flattened out because the voice human voice tends to be human, and it has variances where you remove with this computer software technology, then can be no variance, and it sounds very robotic. So here we'll just play it along here, and we're going to select them all, and then we will quantize the pitch. So you don't hear too much difference there, but all it did was put the notes right in line. You see they're all perfectly within the note that they are in proximity to, or were in proximity to, what it decided it was close to. So obviously if somebody was singing, they're going to be, close to the notes, right? Or not. Anyway, so I'll just keep playing this.
Yeah, I was walking down the street and suddenly out of the sky.
And now we'll apply this straighten the
flame.
pitch.
It was a meteorite, and it crashed in the field in front of me, and there was a huge ball of fire. Yeah, I was walking down the street, and suddenly out of the sky came a
So you can hear that very
ball of flame. It was a meteorite, and it crashed.
robotic sound, and then you can also see that it's completely straightened the wave file. So I'll do that slowly. You can just see how it changed the wave file, or it's really flattening it out and making it sound very robotic. And once you've done this,
I was walking down the street, and suddenly
you
out
can
of the
change
sky
these notes simply by dragging them. So let's just shorten this up here. Look at one little section.
There was a huge ball of fire. Yeah, I was walking down the street. Yeah, I was walking down the street, and suddenly I was walking down.
Just drag them around.
And suddenly I was walking down the street.
Change the whole key. You have them all selected.
And suddenly I was walking down the street, 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 and suddenly I was walking down the street.
So, or just individual notes?
Walking down the street, and suddenly I was 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 walking down the street.
So this, being in the more professional version, this can get really handy. So I'll just do a quick example of if you were applying this to voice, how much finesse you can use in tweaking that voice. So here I'll just do a quick vocal. Here's a quick vocal. So I'll just double click that, apply the pitch and warp. Now it's got the notes that I sang literally. The algorithm has analyzed the notes and placed them where they are, which is the notes that were sung. Here's a quick vocal. Now we'll quantize the pitch. Here's a quick vocal. Here's a quick vocal. And let's just say I didn't like that last note. Was here's a quick vocal. Here's a quick vocal. But the point being is that now I've adjusted the pitch, and you don't hear much difference, right? And you can now straighten the pitch and do it subtly. So here's not so subtly. So if you're trying to do this and get away with it without anybody noticing, you can just be really subtle with the straightening of the pitch and the quantizing. Here's a quick vocal. Here's a quick vocal. Here's a quick vocal. And it's not so robotic is the point. Here's a quick vocal. It's more in line with, today's music is very pitch correct because you're using a lot of computers and a lot of computer technology, so everything is finely tuned, not like in the days of old when you might have a band playing together and not everybody is going to be in perfect pitch, or perfect tune. So when you have these finely tuned instruments in a computer and then you apply a voice, well, it's nice to tune it up. It's not really cheating, you're just trying to make it sort of blend with everything. So anyway, these are the ways you can achieve auto-tuning, and of course you can get as creative as your mind will allow you, and I hope this is helpful. So thanks very much for watching. I would really appreciate it if you take the time to subscribe, leave some comments. If you have any questions below, I'd be happy to answer the questions. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.